Keith Budden from Save With CDC, but this morning I'm going to talk to you about ChatGPT, because you might have heard about ChatGPT. It's an artificial intelligence engine. It's getting lots of publicity at the moment because it is very powerful. And what I hope to do in the next 10 minutes is give you some ideas of things that you can do with it. The one thing I would say before I start, though, is that ChatGPT is a tool. Just like any other tool, it still depends on skill to use it, and that skill is in how you engineer the prompts that you give it. Second thing is always be cautious with ChatGPT, because whilst it is a great source of knowledge, it also lies very convincingly. And so you do need to double check any references that it gives to make sure that they are genuine, because it can sometimes just make things up, which is clever, but not quite what you want. But I always say to people, think about it like as if it's a new business colleague sitting next to you. And by the way, can somebody, either Tony, if you can you give me a nod when it's sort of eight minutes or so? Super. So let's start with someone's sitting next to you, a new colleague sitting next to you. Let's start with a really simple one. Let's just say, tell me a joke. One thing is with ChatGPT, when I'm doing it like this, of course, is that it is totally live. I don't know what it's going to answer, but I am not so nervous as I would be maybe if I was on Google, because it doesn't ever tell you a rude joke. So here's a joke. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. Yeah, the jokes don't get any better, so don't rely on it for humour, because it's not necessarily its strong point. But let's start a different conversation with it. Let's say, what is the capital of France? And this is perhaps giving you an idea of how engineering the prompt is simple, is important, because if you give it just a very simple prompt, like what is the capital of France, it will reply with a very simple answer. The capital of France is Paris. Okay, great, but not that great. But then I can expand on that and say, what are the top 5 attractions in Paris? And so it comes out top 5 tourist destinations: Eiffel Tower, Louvre, Notre Dame, Montmartre, and the Palace of Versailles. Perhaps no great surprises there in what it's come up with. But I can then say, okay, that's great. And this is where it becomes conversational, because I don't have to tell it now I'm talking about Paris. It knows I'm talking about Paris. So, okay, that's great. But I don't like queuing. I don't like queues. Can you give me 5 places where queues are less likely? And so then it gives me some alternatives. So Saint-Chapelle, Miseraden, I can't pronounce that one, Père Lachaise Cemetery, Parc de Bus-Chemont, the Canal Saint-Martin. And so, and it tells me about them and the fact that these are quieter places. So I might say, okay, I like the sound. I like the sound with no space. I like the sound of number 5. Can you recommend any 3-star hotels near there? I don't have to say it's the Canal Saint-Martin. It remembers what number 5 was. So now it's giving me a number of different hotels. And it's saying they're all located in vibrant neighborhoods with plenty of shops, cafes, and restaurants to explore. I might put, okay, and what about somewhere to eat, but not Italian cuisine? And so then it gives me a restaurant with African and Caribbean flavors, Holly Belly, le vol, the enfant peut and Canada de Quentin. So it gives me the restaurants as well. And so you know, it's now bringing up quite good into this. And I might think, well, Holly Belly, that sounds interesting. So I can say, do you have any reviews for Holy Belly? Holy Belly. Holy Belly. And so it said, as an AI language model, I don't have personal experiences or opinions, but I can show you some online reviews. So it gives those, and obviously it's got those from the information that it's pulled from the web. So okay, that's all quite interesting. You know, about travel, and perhaps that shows you what it can do there. What about other things it can do though? Well, I just tried this one earlier, and so I know it's going to be able to do this. But just since we're in this group, I'm going to say, write me the introduction for a book about sales, anti-manipulation, in the style of Keith Blakemore Noble. So welcome to a book that aims to turn the world of sales on its head. In this book, we will explore a new paradigm for sales that is based on authenticity, honesty, and transparency. No longer will salespeople be seen as manipulators using psychological tricks and mind games to persuade their customers to buy something they don't really need. Instead, we will look at a new approach to sales that puts the customer first and seeks to build trust and rapport through genuine relationships. I'm not going to read all the rest of it, but you can see how it's written that, and I'll go to Keith after we've finished this and just say whether he thinks that would be sort of in his style. But you know, someone named to most of us is going to be Brad Burton, so I'd say, okay, but what about if that intro was written by Brad Burton? And all right, let's cut to the chase. This book is about sales, not the sales you're used to. No more pushy tactics or sleazy manipulation. That's old news. This book's about new era sales. It's a totally different style of writing. And if you want really scary experiences, ask it to write you a PowerPoint presentation in the style of Brad Burton, and it's scarily like the sort of things that Brad would do. So, okay, let's take another example of things it can do to help you. It can reply to emails. So if it won't paste in one that I saved earlier, which is a pain. But anyway, I will type it then. So I'm going to put, write me a reply to this email. And this is an email I generally got from a customer. Hi, Keith. I've found the file I'd mislaid. So I don't need you to send me your copy. Now, speak soon, Phil. So if I ask it to write me a reply to that email, and say, hi, Phil, great to hear from you. Glad you found the file you're looking for. No worries at all. I won't send you a copy of the version now as you have yours. Let me know anything else you need. I'm always happy to help if you have any further questions or concerns. Take care and speak soon. Best regards, Keith. But then I can say, okay, but what about...
You got a minute left, Keith.
Okay, a more tongue-in-cheek reply. So this time it says, hi, Phil, glad to hear you found your missing file. I was worried you might resort to using a typewriter or, heaven forbid, a pen and paper to get your work done. No worries about sending my copy. I'm happy to keep it as a reminder of how valuable my contributions are. Just kidding, of course. let me know if there's anything else you need, and I'll be happy to assist. So, it can write a more humorous answer. The other final thing I'm just going to show you it can do is it can write code too. So if I can say, write me some JavaScript code to display a pop-up when I hover over some text. And it will do it. It produces all of the code that you need to be able to do what I've just asked it. Now that's obviously very simple, but you can build on that. And it gives you the CSS and things that you need as well. And it's just a very, very quick way of is it ever going to write a full website for you? No, it isn't. Is it going to displace web developers? No, it isn't. Is it going to speed up web developers? Yes, it is, because I've done some web development and just been able to actually say to it, give me the code to do this, rather than having to rack your brain for an hour trying to think how to do it. Just saves an awful lot of time. And to me, it's all about a tool to save time. So I'm going to stop sharing there, because I'm chances were probably up to 10 minutes. And hopefully that gave you just a little insight into what ChatGPT can do. I am writing a book all about prompt engineering for ChatGPT, which should be out in a few weeks' time. And if any of you would like to be involved in one of my 5-day challenges about ChatGPT in the future, I'd love to have you as part of the challenge. And after that, back to you, Tony.